let me use that word again. Get you ready. So many of you are not. You're just not. You're not ready for this. I can tell because, and I'll just use this as an example, and JD, I know you took this a little bit differently than I did, but as an example, this whole Trey's not a captain thing, to me, just signals yet another exhibit X, if you will, that we're going to overreact about everything that has to do with Trey Lance. And that is circumstantial, and I get it to some degree. Sometimes I actually think it comes from a good place. It comes from our excitement. The 49er fan base is a really, really good one. And this is an interesting move. You have a quarterback who has been good and has brought you to some really nice places, and you're replacing him by choice with a pup. Yeah. And so this is wild. And because of that, we're going to overreact to so many things. But I, for one, felt like the conversation yesterday about Trey Lance not being a captain was just that. It was another overreaction.
We're going to overreact, you're right. And I think we're going to overreact even more because Jimmy Garoppolo's still on the team. And the 49ers have asked for that. And they'll have to deal with it. And I think we all know they're confident that they can deal with it. I keep coming back to just how stunned I was. And yeah, maybe I'm making too much of it, but for everything that has been said about Trey Lance, the person, Trey Lance, the leader, over the course of the last 7 months since he officially became the starting quarterback. February 1st was the day that he became the starting quarterback. Right. Maybe January 30th as they were going to the bus leaving SoFi.
What was the day that Jimmy said, see ya? Do we have a date stamp on that, Spadone?
Jan 31 or Feb 1. Yeah, it was one of those two.
Do we have a date stamp on that? Because if we do, that was the day that Trey Lance became a leader. But yeah, you don't have to be a captain to be a leader. There's that.
You don't, but it struck me as, And I know we talked about it in the changeover. Like they've got maybe the best collective group of captains in the league when you go, wow.
I mean, look at these names, right? Kittle and Williams and Ward and Warner and Armstead. Sure.
Cream of the crop when it comes to that. But it just makes me wonder, how come those guys aren't thinking of him in that same vein? And I know he was 7th. But part of me, because Shanahan in the answer as he read it and announced it, we could have 7, but we're going with 6, and Trey was 7. It's like, you know what? Just add him. just add him in. And clearly he didn't care.
Right. I think part of it is, and maybe this is just kind of functional. Like he said, the NFL does not allow 7 guys to take the field. And go out there for the coin toss.
He said 8. Is it only 6? Because he said they don't allow 8.
They don't allow 8, and that's why Debo's not in there too. Right. Which I like. If you really do, and I don't really do want to dive in to the interesting part of who is not a captain, isn't it Debo? Like, this is their best player. When we left in February, would you? And I said, 49ers best player, go. Would you not?
That's Debo.
That's the answer. It was last year. The version of them we saw last year, it was Debo. He goes into a contract thing. He scrubs his accounts. And then next thing you know, he's 8th. I mean, how about Trey Lance is 7? You can make a deal about that. He finished in front of Debo. He finished in front of. So if you want to make a thing, it's that. I just think that my perception, and it's not always this way, but the captaincy thing in a locker room is about elder statesmen. It is about who a locker room of young people look to as kind of the older people. Now, it doesn't mean Fred Warner and George Kittle are old. They're not. But, man, there's some serious cachet in this league. And if you look at all of the players who were named yesterday, they all fit that definition. They're all at minimum 4 or 5 years in the league. They've all put up numbers. They've all done really good things. They've been through a lot, and I'm sure they've put a lot of guys in that locker room under their wing. Trey Lance is not that. He's not. And actually, Debo became a great player when? About week 5 last year? Before, other than that, he was just like, oh, he's a nice receiver. And then last year he became a star. But he hasn't been doing it for years. All of these other guys have been doing it at a star-type level. I mean, I guess Armstead, you can, I'm not going to use the word star, but a consistent high level for a long time. And I really think that's just what it's about.
Yeah, to go back to the Debo part of it, that doesn't surprise me. And this is an extreme take, and I don't. You could make the case for a time period in the offseason, Debo quit on the Niners. Right? Like, if you're one of his teammates, and you can say, hey, that's all good now, and he still comes into this year as their best player, all is forgiven. But if you tap out on your team for a couple of months, let's say, even if you come back and you're loved, that's enough to maybe drop you out of the captain race.
Maybe.
So that one to me makes a lot of sense. I would not think, oh, Debo should be a captain.
I just think there was probably a lot of stuff that the 49er players went through prior to Debo even joining them. He didn't join them until what? 4 weeks ago? There's OTAs.
Yeah, he's out of sight, out of mind.
So it was like, even when he's there, it's like, oh, he's over there on the sideline running the same way Jimmy was. So, yeah, it makes it, I don't know. I look at this and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. The order of the first 8 makes total sense to me.
I know it's ceremonial with Trey, and to me, though, it's just a statement of the belief that he's going to grow. And he's their most important player.
No doubt.
For 2022.
No doubt.
So to me, there's just a link between understanding how important he is and making a statement collectively in your voting that you believe that he will grow into that this year. It's almost a... And again, I know it's ceremonial, but it's almost I view it as, or I wonder, is there just a lack of a vote of confidence in play there subconsciously? It's just, why are you not thinking Trey at a higher level? And again, there's a very logical explanation which you've laid out, but it just makes me wonder, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I've already been on record a bunch over the last week and a half saying, at least trying to say it the way I view the re-signing of Jimmy Garoppolo, or the contract the keeping of Jimmy Garoppolo. I do feel like the 49ers collectively have questions deep within their minds about Trey Lance. I don't think that's a death blow. I don't think that's all that surprising. But yes, if you got Kyle Shanahan, you put him on a lie detector, and you said, hey, when you drafted this kid, would you hope that by week 1 of year 2, would you hope that he is further along than he is? I mean, the answer is yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And that's all this means. But the captaincy thing, I really do. I A to B it. I think it's just because he's 22 and he hasn't played. You said he's their most important player. I agree with you. And I suddenly pulled up all of the NFL teams, though, and I said, are there any NFL teams where that's not the case? Give me the guy who's the most important player on his NFL team who doesn't play quarterback. Is there anyone?
It's good. I mean, it's a great question.
And we can go to the teams that don't have good ones.
Yeah, that's where my mind wandered to.
Is Najee Harris more important than Mitch Trubisky? I don't know. You know what I mean?
But then the other part of it is, Mitch Trubisky's a captain.
And he is, yes, he is.
And that's the thing, because we got a lot of you got to earn it. We got a lot, like yesterday, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of it today, is we got to earn it. You got to earn being the captain. Well, okay, did Mitch Trubisky have to earn it? Does Justin Fields have to earn it?
So I think there's messaging. I think there's messaging in all of these. So I think Pittsburgh's locker room heard the talk about 3 weeks ago. Oh, Pickett. He looks good. Did you see him? He looked good in the third quarter of a preseason game.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just go with Pickett right away. And I think the Steelers locker room went, hey, young fella, you're going to wait. It does not mean Mitch Trubisky's going to start 17 games. I'd bet a lot of money he won't this year. But for the start of this year, young fella, you're a young fella, and so we're going to make this guy over here a captain. Now, if Jimmy had been voted a captain, now we got a problem. Now we've got a problem.
All right, here's one for you. If Jimmy's around all winter and spring and summer, is Jimmy a captain? Well, and didn't they have 7 last year? I think they had 7 last year.
They did have 7 last year.
And Jimmy was one of the 7. Why do you have 7 this year, Kyle?
Yes, Jimmy was one of the 7. The replacements were, so let's see. Jimmy is out.
Yeah, Bosa was a new one.
Bosa was in, and then someone else fell off. Who am I forgetting? Someone was a captain.
Mostert.
That's right, Raheem Mostert.
Okay.
And he's not a captain because he's a Dolphin. So that's why he's not a captain anymore.
Here's the one thing.
You can make 7, but you know what, bud? Maybe that is part of similar to what I just said with the Steelers. Maybe they do want to send Trey that message. Maybe they do want to dangle the carrot and be like, go chase it. Maybe I don't know. But I do know that when you're 22 and you haven't played and you haven't been with a group for a long time, for me, when I dove in last night and I found out that when Jimmy Garoppolo was the highest paid player in the NFL, but was not voted a captain in 2018 for the 49ers, I was like, that's all I needed to see. That was that locker room saying, dude, you've been here for 4 minutes. You've been here for 4 minutes. It was great 5-game win streak last year. Bravo, we're excited. You're the highest paid player in the NFL, but you're not one of our captains. You've been here for a minute. Same thing here.
That's a good example. I'm trying to think back. There's a part of me that thinks maybe they did the week-to-week captains back then and then changed it. I might be off on that. I'm not sure. So I
don't think so, but
because I think at a time Kyle did do that. It might have only been the first year that Kyle was here.
Yeah,
that he did that in 2017.
By the way, some of you might be thinking, okay, how about Alex Smith, number 1 pick in the draft? Was he voted a captain the next year? Answer is, not only was he not voted a captain, Trent Dilfer was. So it really, like everything I read based on just the data says to me that a locker room looks at this and goes, who are our old guys who we go to when we have a question, right? Where's the bathroom? Don't ask Trey, ask Kittle. Kittle, where do we go? What do we do? How do we do this NFL thing? You're a number 1 ranked PFF player. I'm going to you. Trey, you've played 2.5 games. You're not a captain. You're not a captain.
And I get it. The flip side to that is, well, you're not going to vote for a guy to be captain that's going to get benched 5 weeks into the season.
Okay.
And I'm having some fun with you on that one.
Yes, you are. Yes. It's just, yes. Thank you, Peter.